Mike Binns, welcome to the Rob Carson Show. First and foremost, Mike, I know I've written you on Facebook Messenger, but I respect you. I admire you. I've watched your phenomenal growth as a journalist the last at least 5 or 6 years that I've been doing a nationally syndicated program. It's an honor to have you on the show today, Mike.
Well, thank you for your leadership and all this stuff as well. I know this is a tough week, and it's just great to have solidarity at a moment like this.
Brother, I got to tell you, I have never cried so much for somebody I didn't know, and maybe you knew Charlie, but I cried for the loss that his daughter and his wife are experiencing, and then I cried for the loss of his meteoric rise, and Mike, I believe we're in the beginnings of a worldwide rebirth of faith and a worldwide turn for good, and it started with Donald Trump's election. But I really think that the assassination of Charlie Kirk, rather than this worldwide movement moving along at a slower pace, they just put the pedal to the metal on the accelerator of this movement when they murdered Charlie Kirk. What do you think?
Well, it has to be that way. It's too big of a loss to process on its own. It has to be converted into something good, or else the tragedy is just too. And I don't mean to say that. I just realized that sounded, obviously there's no way to make up for a loss like this. Charlie was a towering figure in every sense. He was, and what he did was it's Trump-like in the sense that you read chapter 1, for example, of Art of the Deal, and you realize that what made Trump was, he was waking up at 6 a.m. and made 100 phone calls before you had breakfast, and doing it day after day, month after month, year after year. And Charlie, what he built with Turning Point was something that became bigger than not just college Republicans. It became bigger than CPAC. It was the biggest get out the vote. It was the biggest boots on the ground operation. It penetrated the most difficult place to penetrate on planet Earth, colleges and universities of the United States. And it made it okay as a young person to network with, to socialize with, to have events that were fun, engaging, thought-provoking with your fellow students, and to build lifelong friendships and leadership pipelines. And he did that day after day after day for 15 years. He started when he was 16. He started Turning Point when he was 18. And he was a diplomat, an ambassador, a spokesperson, a long-term strategy guy. He was the one who, evidently, we just learned this week, who brokered the MAGA-MAHA alliance with Trump and RFK. He was the ultimate bridge builder. And the shoes are too big for a single person to fill. It takes a singular personality to be able to bridge divides the way Charlie did, to be able to build bridges between strange bedfellows the way Charlie did, and to earn the trust of every person in this cause around the world. Everyone knew they could trust Charlie, and Charlie could speak anyone's language to try to get people to meet in the middle. And if there's not a person who can replace Charlie, we all need to take up Charlie's sword and move everything forward.
Well, nobody's ever going to be able to fill his shoes. I am in the same slot as Rush Limbaugh, and I started writing for Rush Limbaugh as a kid right out of college in 1989, and I watched his meteoric rise, and I also witnessed, and what I like to say is a conservative apartheid, Mike. I've experienced it for 30 years of my life. The censorship of our speech, the going after clients so you can never get a client. There's a reason why Newsmax doesn't have Ford on their airwaves, even though a lot of Newsmax viewers drive Ford F-150s. It's because of conservative apartheid. But this is to a new level. And what really, Mike, and you've been through it too, when disinformation and misinformation happened, when that movement, when our government was involved in disinformatia, as Joseph Stalin said, you knew what we were in for there. You knew that this was not organic in any way, shape, or form. This was part of a movement. And the left did everything they could to shut us down, and then ultimately they saw Charlie Kirk going onto campus for the first time, a conservative speaker drawing thousands of people, any speaker drawing thousands of people to see a debate, and the left knew he had to die because of it.
Well, that was their biggest fear, that Charlie would just win every time, fair and square, publicly, in front of thousands of people, and it changed minds. They saw someone, young people saw someone who was fearless, just absolutely eviscerating the talking points of their professors, of their fellow students who they kind of felt something was off with, but Charlie could articulate it. And then suddenly they could articulate it, and they felt stronger and more confident and emboldened. And there was a singular hatred towards Charlie Kirk on the online left, and I watched that. I keep a nose to the grindstone on this sort of leftist commentariat community online, and they, even though he was probably the most moderate of voices on the right, he was a singular target because of his size, his influence, and his calmness, his equanimity.
Oh, just beautiful.
He never lost his cool. Nothing ever landed. Nothing
No.
ever landed on Charlie for 15 years.
Now, Mike,
And so they had to go to an assassin's bullet.
People don't have any intention of saying something that's going to lead to something dangerous, but we cannot take responsibility for the minds that are out there and how they hear it.
Now, that is Nancy Pelosi today, or yesterday, saying that, we can't take responsibility for the acts that people commit. We don't intentionally say things to do this, and that's a lie. That's a lie. Mike Benz, not only Mike Benz, the Mike Benz, is on the Newsmax hotline. This has all been intentional. They've been trying to morally equivocate, which, Mike, always means you have no argument and you're intellectually and morally bankrupt. And they try to say it happens on both sides. But, Mike, you know as well as I, because we're not stupid, all of 99.9% of the violent rhetoric has come from the left and the liberal media.
100%. Everyone knows that. You can't name anything even remotely comparable to this on the other side. Not nowhere. And even if you just look at the associations with the transgender community, and I did a video recently where I just went over the sheer scale of school shootings, church shootings committed by folks in the transgender community, which is a overwhelmingly left-wing, Marxist-associated environmental schema that they have. You saw this armed queers group that it looks like the FBI is now investigating.
Yes.
I think I saw one of their banners that read, "The revolution will not be voted in," joined this armed group, and I made the commentary that the only thing faster than the speed of light in the known universe is the speed at which the FBI would descend on a right-wing gun group that says join it, instead of the substitute for voting. Instead of voting, the revolution has to be conducted by armed struggle. That's just the speed at which a Merrick Garland Justice Department would descend on every member of that, and every person they followed is overwhelming. But we do play by different rules. I think we conduct ourselves in a more godly way, in a more constitutional way.
Of course we do.
And so I do think that at this moment, what's happening is I am very heartened to see the institutional response. You've seen agnostic institutions who did not need to go out of their way to honor Charlie Kirk, who have done so. That whether that's the New York Yankees, the Chicago Cubs, NASCAR, the UFC, the Dallas Cowboys, you've seen and even I saw Mick Jagger came out and made a statement. The lead singer of Coldplay came out and stopped the concert. And, so I do think it is important to try to recognize that this is a schism moment, not just for the populist right in trying to reconsolidate and ensure our solidarity at a moment when we know that they're trying to use terrorism to intimidate us. But also a real moment to examine exactly where people fall on the left in terms of knowing the kinds of groups that bridges can be built with and the kinds of groups that can't.
Mike, I have been calling for it like I hold any sway. The declaration of Antifa as a terrorist group It has to happen, Mike. They have now spent shell casings or even unspent shell casings with their expressions on them. Antifa is a terrorist organization. They have burned their way across the country. They have attacked ICE officers. They have attacked courthouses in Portland. Antifa is a terrorist organization. Would you agree that they need to be declared a terrorist organization so we can go after funding, go after members who have committed these acts, and ended this organization in the United States like we would the KKK?
I defer to the Justice Department on this.
Yes.
I've used strong language this week. I do think that senior leadership and what's happened within this Antifa culture is they've gotten so used to this idea that it's okay to kill baby Hitler. It's okay to hang Mussolini, his wife, from a bridge, and because violence was used during World War II, everyone I don't like now is like Hitler, and so it justifies basically lethal assassinations and cold-blooded murder. And this is these links between Antifa. I would be much more comfortable examining the links between Antifa and other U.S. government institutions and going after senior leadership who has organized, condoned, and incited. I think that in a targeted kind of RICO way, in the sense that when you call an ideology a terrorist group, that I can see how there are First Amendment concerns, and just like Charlie had and leftists have been trying to mock him over this, that Charlie said, listen, in the same way that when you have we don't ban cars just because there are car accidents every year. That is the cost of freedom to be able to drive a car. It's the same way with protecting the Second Amendment for owning a gun. But so I do think that there is a targeted approach to this that I would advocate for, and I defer to this FBI and Justice Department, who I think have their heads on straight about balancing the constitutionality versus the need for urgent and immediate action.
Mike, we have to run, and I know that you're coming back to D.C. We've got a studio here in Old Town Alexandria, and I would love to sit and just do a podcast with you for an hour or two if you get the time, because I've been such an admirer of you. You're such a powerful figure as an investigative journalist and a truth teller, and I have great respect for you. And it's because of you that this movement is so bold and strong, and you got us through disinformation and misinformation, and you are asking the hard questions that a lot of people are not. So Mike Binns, a tribute to you, and you're welcome here anytime, and it was just a treat to have you on the radio today.
And that's thanks to Charlie, by the way. Charlie
yes, brother.
Reached out to me when I had less than 5,000 followers, and sent me a DM, and so for Charlie, and we'll link up when we're in DC. Okay, Rob.
All right, brother. God bless you. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show.